violent J6 trespasser, okay, is now running for Congress. There it is. Put him up full mass. We told you this would happen. And another, where are they now update? Another violent rioter from the Jan 6 terrorist attack has some interesting plans for his future. This individual broke into the Capitol, is now announcing he's running for Congress in East Texas. Ryan Taylor Nichols, 34 years of age, delivered his announcement Wednesday to challenge Representative Nathaniel Moran's seat in Congress. He claimed, quote, "I know what it feels like to have the full weight of the United States government on top of you," Nichols said in his announcement. As a pardoned January 6th defendant, I have faced that burden, and I can only imagine how the people of East Texas feel when Washington ignores us. But Washington did not ignore you, so you got the pardon for Washington. It was the president gave you a pardon. You seem like you're part of the swamp, sir. You're connected. You're an inside guy. It's amazing to me that individuals like him who get a pardon from the current president is connected to the party that got that said president in, will still claim to be an outsider. Trump has inspired actual criminals to run for Congress. He pardoned them. They are able to do so under the rules. And, well, this guy came there with tactical gear. Yasmin, the man committed acts of violence, wore tactical gear while doing so, had a crowbar in his hand while breaking into a federal building. Mm-hmm. Now he's a candidate for the US Congress.
Yeah, I mean, look, we just talked about Jasmine Crockett and about how people in the South are finally getting representatives that they feel will actually represent them in Congress. Because let me tell you again, as your resident Texan TYT girly, this place and these people are so much more than what the rest of the country typically gets to see. There is incredible, like just an incredible amount of diversity here in Texas. If our representatives in government at the federal and even at the state level looked remotely like what our cities look like, the rest of the country would have a much different view of Texas and Texans. But all of that said, we still have people like this guy who aren't helping our national reputation or image. But I did say we are diverse down here, and this faction of Texans is a part of that diversity, as much as I may not like it. Look, there's so much that can be said about Texas politics, okay? Right now, most of Houston, the biggest and most diverse district in the state, is not represented in Congress because Representative Turner, unfortunately, he died unexpectedly. And instead of calling a special election like he's supposed to, Governor Abbott said that Houstonians won't be able to elect a new representative until November. So not for months. We're going to have all of these Houstonians, again, a very diverse group of Houstonians, of Texans, Democratic for the most part, who will not be represented in Congress until November. Now, our Harris County attorney and the frontrunner for Turner's seat, his name is Christian Menefee. He's getting ready to sue Abbott, not his first time doing so, by the way, for leaving all of these Houstonians without representation. Additionally, we have our Texas Attorney General, who has committed and gotten away with more crimes than any other attorney general in the country. And he's now challenging Republican Senator John Cornyn for his seat because Cornyn, according to Ken Paxton, is not Trumpy enough, okay? So I think Texas politics has been teetering on the edge of something for a long time, but more often than not, Democratic or liberal Texans, of which there are many, are disappointed. For example, there was some hope that we'd have a Democratic senator with Colin Allred last November because he was neck and neck with Ted Cruz in the polls in the months leading up to the election. But then on election night, and I'm not saying anything was off because I don't know anything that you guys don't, but Ted Cruz managed to pull out a huge win with a wider margin than he had been polling with, again, in months. So Texas is very strange. We're kind of on the precipice, especially with this Ken Paxton versus John Cornyn election that's about to happen. It's interesting because we're going to see the Texans and the Republican Texans have to decide if they want to side with the more Trumpy MAGA Republicans or if they want to go back to something somewhere closer to the middle, something that resembles some kind of just sensibility, right? Some kind of rationality, some kind of sanity, whatever they were used to before. Because there are a lot of Texans in Texas who vote Republican because they've always voted Republican, but they're not happy with the direction of the Republican Party. Races like this one, like we're about to see in East Texas, I think will also be a similar indicator of where Texans actually are falling on this Trump spectrum that we have within the Republican Party. So there's a lot going on down here. I had a lot of time to think about it, Dr. Richey, while you were dealing with your tech issues. So I'll leave it there. But
great insight.
There's always something going on in Texas.
Absolutely. And leave it to a MAGA supporter to utilize a criminal act as a launching pad for a political campaign.